ITV News has learnt that a £300 million rail upgrade on the main line between London and the South Coast could now be on hold because of the timetable shambles on the Thameslink network. Network Rail is considering postponing all future improvement projects on the Govia Thameslink network until the problem is resolved. Our political correspondent Simon Harris joins me now. This doesn't sound like good news for passengers in the long term.
Part of the Brighton line south of Three Bridges in Sussex is so tired and clapped out it's said to be responsible for more delays to Gatwick Express, Thameslink and Southern trains than anything else on the entire network. Now, that was, of course, until the new timetable was disastrously introduced 6 weeks ago. But before that, Network Rail planned to spend £300 million fixing leaks in tunnels and installing new signals. And that was going to involve closing that section of the line during the October school half-term. For commuters, it would mean 8 days of delays, disruption and replacement rail services. But because the 300,000 passengers who use the Brighton line every day are suffering enough right now, Network Rail has decided it can't inflict any more misery on them, so it's going to look at the entire plan and possibly postpone it until the timetables are more reliable.
When will that be?
Well, that is the good question, the big question. The government has reportedly told Thameslink to get its act together in the next 2 weeks or it will face losing its contract to run the trains. Govia Thameslink Railway has promised passengers that 2 weeks now they will notice an improvement.
We are planning to introduce a new timetable from the 15th of July. That will bring much more stability for our passengers and deliver increased peak services and deliver some of the capacity that we promised. That has to be our focus for the next couple of weeks and make that happen and deliver it reliably.
It's worth pointing out that that new so-called interim timetable will still mean far fewer trains than the 3,600 we were promised we would get with the introduction of the other new timetable 6 weeks ago.
6 weeks and counting. Simon, thank you very much. Thank you.
And finally, we're all used to seeing planes flying over the Mall past Buckingham Palace, but seeing them parked up on the Mall is a much more unusual sight. Historic aircraft, including the Spitfire, are there and open to the public this weekend. It's all ahead of an event to mark the 100th anniversary of the RAF. On Tuesday, all eyes will be on the sky again for a fly past of up to 100 planes. Well, Group Captain Angela Baker gave Simon Harris a whistle-stop tour of the display and preparations.
We've had pop-up shops, pop-up restaurants. This is London's newest pop-up plane museum.
This is the Gloucester Meteor. This is the Harrier GR3, commonly known as the jump jet. This is the F-35 Lightning, the UK's new combat stealth jet. This is a Spitfire. This one's a Mark 16, obviously made famous in World War II. And we've been loaned this for the display from the Royal Air Force Museum at Hendon.
The aircraft, parked on horse guards, some real, some replicas, have been trucked in as part of the RAF centenary celebrations. 12 miles away at RAF Northolt in West London, members of the Queen's Colour Squadron are going through their precision moves. These are the Air Force troops who perform at ceremonies.
There's no room for error whatsoever. You've got the flight sergeant shouting in the background. He's the one that ensures that happens. No fidgeting. If you've got an itch, you've just got to deal with it.
How do you deal with it?
You don't. you ignore it. You ignore it totally.
Today they're on Northolt's parade ground. On Tuesday they'll be in front of Buckingham Palace when the Queen presents the squadron with a new colour.
The colour itself is effectively a consecrated flag gifted to the RAF by Her Majesty the Queen. Traditionally, that flag would be seen as a battle standard for troops to follow or rally round in conflict. In modern times, it's an emblem of our traditions.
The aircraft at Horse Guards include this Chinook helicopter, which still flies regularly. The pop-up museum will be the centrepiece of the celebrations this weekend, but on Tuesday, all eyes will be on the sky. The climax of Tuesday's 100th birthday party will be a flypast, the biggest seen over London in many years, involving up to 100 planes. But only if the weather's good enough.
Londoners who want to see the flypast, I would suggest that they could either come down the Mall and see it up front and close, going over Buckingham Palace, or if they want to see it further out as it comes down from Suffolk, where it's formed up, coming in from the east, over the Olympic Park, Leighton, Hackney, and flying over the City of London.
The mini museum opens its doors on Friday for 4 days only. The flypast is due at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. Simon Harris, ITV News, Horse Guards.
Hello. Don't come to London. That was the message to commuters travelling in from the south today. Why? A total loss of signalling power in the Streatham area stopped all trains through Victoria, and they still aren't running now. It is the latest in a relentless line of problems on Thameslink and Southern trains. And as if rail passengers needed any more bad news, well, they're now being warned the disruption could run into tomorrow. Our political correspondent Simon Harris now on this latest rail meltdown.
Your attention, please.
It's become the sound of summer for so many commuters.
We are sorry to announce that the 09:55 Southern service to Brighton has been cancelled.
Robotic announcement declaring yet another cancelled train.
The 10:06 Southern service to West Croydon has been cancelled.
Today's railway horror story saw near paralysis on lines in and out of Victoria.
This is due to a fault with the signalling system.
This was Streatham Common during this morning's rush hour.
It's going to take me another hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to get to work, so I'm not really happy about that.
I'm really peed off because this is going to be really stressful.
It's too much. It's too much. It shouldn't be allowed. The government's letting them get away with it, so what can we do?
The disruption affected Southern, Gatwick Express and Thameslink trains, which all come under the umbrella of GTR, the firm at the centre of the recent new timetable fiasco. For once, it didn't appear to be the fault of the train company, the hapless, some would say hopeless, Govia Thameslink Railway. Instead, the blame was firmly shunted onto Network Rail territory. It turned out to be a problem with the signals on a busy stretch of track in Streatham. They suddenly stopped working.
3 different power supplies, all of them have failed simultaneously. So this is, I wouldn't say it's unprecedented, but it's incredibly unusual.
The initial response from rail managers was to send out tweets like this one from Southern saying passengers are advised not to travel into London this morning.
I think it's a poor show. I mean, why can't Southern, Govia, why can they not provide some kind of alternative service? I think they should at least have tried rather than telling people not to come in.
GTR issued a statement apologising. It's been doing a lot of that lately.
Southern apologises for this late running and the inconvenience this may cause you. Thameslink apologises for the inconvenience this may cause you.
Simon Harris, ITV News, Clapham Junction.
Well, Simon is here. Simon, so now the train companies are advising passengers not to even come into London. Does it get any worse than this?
Well, you might think that then today happens. It's very tempting to describe commuters in this sort of situation as long-suffering, but even that seems lame. The problems some GTR customers are facing are relentless, and people really are at the end of their tether. Now, when you've got a company which can't even run its advertised timetable after 6 weeks of trying, should we be surprised that it can't cope when things go wrong? Now, Network Rail might be to blame on this occasion, but this will do nothing to help GTR rebuild trust with its passengers or indeed restore its reputation with ministers who've suggested that in a matter of weeks they may end its contract.
All right, Simon Harris, thank you.